It was just fun. At the time, it just seemed like, oh, this is nice, you know. Because Boy was doing some good stuff. I actually like Lodger, which came out right in the middle. That's my favourite album. So it was like a meeting of like a scene.
And what about, I mean, when was Visage broached? When was it?
Pretty quickly, really. I mean, you know, this is what I quite liked about someone like Rusty Egan and also Midge. It was like, come on, let's just get on with it, you know. So before I knew it, we were doing our first single, you know. They talked about having the magazine guys in, and I was dead keen because I liked magazine. Like I said, we crossed paths in these constant European tours that we were doing, you know. If you aren't going to do well in England, pack them off to Europe. So I knew about magazine, and I was it was just great, really good fun, doing it with good musicians. Barry Adamson on bass, really good bass player. And it was interesting having a keyboard player like Dave Formula, comes from a totally different side, jazz. His father was a jazz musician. So before I knew it, we'd banged out Tar, the first single, you know.
Martin Rushton was quite a key producer at the time. Obviously, you mentioned a little bit about his recording studios in Berkshire, but he went on to do some stuff with the Human League. What was your impressions of him?
Of Martin? Well, the most impression was us pushing him out of his own studio, which I've just thought about that just recently, and I thought, Christ, I think we should have let him in, because he was just there soaking it all up, you know, and we were just cocky bastards, you know. We wouldn't even let him in his own studio, and he was just there. He was just waiting in the wings, ready to do his own thing after we'd gone, and he did.
And what about, and tell us a little bit about that time, again, you know, the chronology is a little bit complicated. Met Rusty, went round to Billy's. When did you meet Steve Strange?
Good point. I think Steve was there, lurking around. He did some of the DJing. I mean, basically this whole movement thing was DJ-led. I mean, it really was. It had been saturated, the live club scene. It had really been saturated, and that's good, actually. I enjoyed it. I think playing live was great for me to learn. And they decided to just take it away from that. And so these guys were two DJs, and so the whole thing was definitely DJ-led. You know, Steve was there playing records as well.
And Steve, I mean, the famous, you said, you know, he was a doorman. Rusty played the sounds, and you know, between them, they kind of set up this whole new scene. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah, definitely. It was a while before they moved from Billy's to get into the Blitz place. It was really when we got to the Blitz place. I mean, Billy's was a bit of a dive. I mean, and it was more of a scene that really captured the atmosphere, the vibe more at the Blitz, you know, in Covent Garden, which was later on that year.
And what about Steve? You know, when you meet somebody like Steve, he was a very, you know, dramatic kind of out there type of guy. What was he like?
He was quite a shy guy. You know, I mean, the guys that he was interested in what was going on. I think he felt a little bit on the spot because he'd got to put vocals on this music, and it seems to be, at that time we'd do the music first and the vocals would go on last. I think sometimes he was a bit nervous about it. He was a nice bloke, sensitive guy. And I mean, one of the fondest memories I've actually got about it was that basically the first sessions I did, especially in summer, I'd spend most of my time laughing at Rusty and Midge arguing, you know. It was just like these two, you know, Scots guy and a Cockney, you know, like. But it was all in good humour. And me and Steve just laughed, basically, you know. Steve was a funny guy.
How did Midge come on board?
Well, Midge had been working with the Rich Kids, wasn't he? He was in the Rich Kids, and he was mates with Rusty, so he was in there as well. And also, Midge is definitely a practical sort of guy. You know, he was definitely lined up to sort of help Steve, I think, really, the bottom line on the vocals. He's supportive and, you know, it was sort of... he's a hard worker, is Midge, you know, and he would make him get things done. And like I say, at first, that was quite good-humoured, you know.
What was you you know, your impression of Midge when you first met him? What was your...
Bossy little git. No, I'm completely joking. No, he was a practical, enthusiastic guy and helped lift me up out of my apathy that I'd gotten into, you know, that there's life after, and so did Rusty. And so did Steve, you know, they were good blokes, you know. And you've got the more serious personalities with Magazine, so in some ways we were kind of a bit rubbing shoulders now, you know. But then we all had a laugh. I mean, Barry Adamson is a funny guy, you know.
Did you see yourself as musicians on Visage, or was it part of a band, or was the band Steve and Rusty? Or?
No, it was a full band. It was a big band, 7 of us. It's a bit hard to remember. No, it was I didn't see it as a band the same as what I'd just been involved in, but in some ways that was quite a relief. It was nice to just